In 2015, Barack Obama met with 6 young dreamers in the Oval Office. Their parents brought them to the U.S. illegally. Schooling, jobs, and getting access to services were all challenges until the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, was put into place. That, though, is changing, with the U.S. government slated to cancel the program in 6 months. Maria Praeli was one of the people who met President Obama. She's now an immigration policy associate with FWD.US. It's an organization dedicated to fixing the immigration system. Bit of irony there. Maria, thank you so much for speaking with us today. Tell us, first of all, more about how you came to live in America.
Yes, well, thank you for having me. I came to the U.S. when I was 5 years old. I was born in Peru, and due to my sister's right leg having to be amputated because a car had hit her, we were coming to America due to the better medical treatment. I grew up in Connecticut, and I always knew there was something a little bit off, but I really didn't understand that we were undocumented and what that meant until I was in high school, and until I learned what being undocumented would mean to me and all the barriers that it would create. So I turned 16, and I couldn't get a driver's license, and I couldn't work, and I had to make up excuses to my peers as to why I couldn't do these things. And then senior year of college, when it was time to senior year of high school, when it was time to apply for colleges, I wasn't eligible for financial aid or many government loans. So that was a really tough moment trying to figure out how I was going to pursue my higher education goals. And on the last day of high school in June 15, 2012, is when President Obama announced the Deferred Action Program. And since then, my life and the life of 800,000 other young people like myself has drastically changed. The program allowed me to get a license, it allowed me to work, and it gave me the confidence that I won't be deported, which has been a huge, huge thing, especially because I've grown up in this country, and it's really hard to have to imagine being deported back to a country that at this point I haven't been to in nearly 20 years.
And we showed those pictures of you meeting President Obama. I'm assuming that was 2012. What was that like?
That was in 2014. And we had gone to meet with President Obama to talk about the DACA program and its successes and what it had meant for those in the room. And to me, it was something really special to be able to share my story with then President Barack Obama, and also be able to share a story of my family, because a lot of times in this narrative that gets lost. So I was able to talk about my mom and all the hardships that she had endured, and how she was such a strong woman who had put 2 of her daughters through college, and how the broken immigration system had also negatively affected her as well. So it was just a really phenomenal experience and opportunity to be able to sit in that room with him and be able to share a little bit about myself. And I think at the same time, being able to carry many of the stories that the undocumented community in the United States faces.
When you heard Attorney General Jeff Sessions make that announcement yesterday that the program was being rescinded, what went through your mind?
A lot of things. Starting off with, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has never been a friend to the immigrant community. He has always been quite anti-immigrant. So to hear him kind of vilify me and refer to me as an illegal alien who takes jobs from Americans, when I firmly believe that I am American. I grew up here. I went kindergarten through senior year of high school and then college, all in the U.S. Was definitely a little hurtful. But I also feel ready for this moment at this time. There's been a lot of broad support from both sides of the aisle. So you've heard Speaker Ryan over the past week come out in support of DACA and Dreamers. You have heard Senators Orrin Hatch and Senator Langford, and just many other members of Congress, regardless of their political parties. You've also heard business leaders, CEOs, faith leaders, mayors, and other elected officials speaking up and saying that they demand that the DACA program stay in place, and if not, that immediately a bipartisan DREAM Act passes in Congress and President Trump signs it.
Yeah, I have just a few seconds left with you, Maria, but I'm wondering, are you afraid of being deported now? You said that fear had gone away for a while. Is that fear back?
It's always going to be there until some sort of legalization occurs. The Deferred Action Program wasn't permanent. It was every 2 years you had to reapply. You never knew how long it was going to stick around. The scary thing is that they have all of our information. You have to pass a background check. You have to give your address. You have to provide all this evidence that you've been in the United States since 2007. And I think that's the scariest thing. It's that back earlier in this year, there was an enforcement priorities memo that came from the administration that essentially said there were no priorities. So if they have all this information, and if the program is gone, and then if there's no legislation that protects us, are we then the easiest targets for them to go after?
We're going to continue to follow your story, and we're so glad you were able to join us today. All the best to you, Maria Praeli. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back.